in 2007, when our party, then the ACA, was rigged out of elections in Osun, in Ekiti, in Ondo, and in Edo State, I was asked, he invited me to his residence, as Asiwaju invited me to his residence at Bodilon. And he said to me, the only way by which we can possibly reclaim the states that have been taken away from us by this rigging is going through the courts. And he said to me that the only way is by proving that there was multiple voting. In other words, proving that a few people simply thumbprinted ballot papers, dumped the ballot papers into ballot boxes, and they were counted in favor of the opposition, then of course the PDP. He then said to me that the only way we can do this is by somehow, he says, I don't know how you are going to do it, but somehow proving by forensic evidence that this is exactly what happened. I said to him, I said, Asiwaju, look, nobody has ever proved an electoral case, an electoral petition by forensic evidence. There's just no history of it. He said, and I said, what is even more? We have over a million ballot papers. If we consider all of the ballot papers in each of these states, there are over a million, or in fact, at the time, there were about 1.3 million ballot papers, putting together all the states. And how can we prove multiple voting? He said, you know, Yemi, no, I've told you what my own view is. You just go and look for a way of sorting this out. So I went to the UK and met with possibly the most experienced fingerprint expert in the entire United Kingdom, a gentleman called Adrian Forty, introduced to me by some of the QCs who I'd worked with in the UK. And when I told Adrian Forty the enormity of the problem, he laughed and almost fell off his chair. He said, in all my own almost 50 years of experience as a fingerprint expert, I have not even done up to 4,000 fingerprints. You are now saying that I should come and do 1.3 million fingerprints. Come on, I mean, that's almost impossible. Anyway, so we parted that day, that was a Thursday. And then he called me back on a Monday and said, let's talk again about this crazy thing that you are suggesting. And we sat and talked about it. And somehow designed a way, he said, of course, we used a bit of technology. But most importantly, we were able to get fingerprint experts. He said to me, he said, the only way is to get the number of fingerprint experts that have never been assembled before. I said, about how many? He said, a minimum of 50 fingerprint experts. In the end, we hired 63 fingerprint experts, 63. 50 of them were from the UK police. What was even more interesting about that was that even to get the UK police to support us, Asiwaju had to come all the way from Nigeria to come and talk to friends and people who he knew to try and persuade the authorities to let us use the UK police. In the end, they allowed us to, of course, in the spare time of those policemen. And we got an additional 10 policemen. Altogether, 63 policemen working flat out for almost 6 months. We were able to put together for the first time, definitely in the history of electoral petitions anywhere in the world, we were able to put together a solid forensic case that showed that all of the places where we were defeated, it was on account of multiple thumbprinting. And we also demonstrated that it was impossible for those who said they voted. For instance, we showed that if you cast 20,000 votes in a particular unit, when we calculated the time that it takes to cast one single vote, it's usually above 5 minutes. But we discovered that our friends in that other political party were able to cast their votes in 5 seconds, because all they were doing was simply thumbprinting. They just simply take out a booklet and thumbprint as many as possible. So we were able to demonstrate all of that in court. Cut a long story short, one by one, we were able to get back the states that had been taken away from us. The only way by which that could ever have been achieved is surely not just by the vision, but by the determination of the leader, of our leader at that time. He was, of course, the leader of the ACN at the time. And he showed the kind of leadership that was very, very rare, of course. Not only defining what he thought was the way forward, but also supporting it in every way and backing it to the very end. The last state that we finally won was Osun State. After almost 3 years of battling, we finally won Osun State. And I think that, you know, one of the things that you will say that all of us will agree with about our celebrant today is just that his dogged attitude, his refusal to accept no for an answer. Asiwaju also pioneered merit in cabinet appointments in particular. And I want to emphasize this because one of the major drawbacks that we have as a nation is that way by which we are blindsided into thinking that we can avoid merit and expect to achieve great things. We simply cannot avoid merit. I think Asiwaju demonstrated in the years when he was governor that political appointments, especially cabinet appointments, he simply looked for those that he considered the best possible material at the time, wherever they were from. So for the first time in the history of Lagos State, we had cabinet members from other parts of the country, beginning with other parts of the Southwest. Rauf Aregbesola, of course, is from Osun State. I from Ogun State. Wale Edun from Ogun State. Athawari from Delta. He became the first commissioner for lands. Lai Mohammed from Kwara State. Dele Alake from Ekiti State, you know, and so many others. For the first time, we appointed judges from other, in fact, I've forgotten Ben Akabueze. Ben Akabueze, of course, from Anambra State, was commissioner for economic planning and budget after Yemi Cardoso, and for several years after that, he served as commissioner for budget and national planning. But also judges, the appointment of judges from everywhere else in the country. Justices Onyabo and Justice Sibyl Nwaka were both appointed to be judges of Lagos State. There is no other state in the country except some states in the north where we've seen the appointment of individuals from other states. And Asiwaju pioneered that. Just picking the best people, no matter where they're from, is a very important part of our story as a country. So every once in a while, I think that history gives us one or two persons who are gifted, transformative leaders. And I believe that our country has been gifted by this great transformative leader, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu. I believe very strongly that this man's political trajectory has only just begun. He's a man who has tremendous giftings, and is a man who I believe God has a great plan ahead for. I pray for you, Asiwaju, that as your days, so shall your strength, so shall your wisdom, and so shall your favor with God. In Jesus' mighty name, amen. I'll just say